What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Horseshoe. I'm live. I haven't been live in I don't even know how long, but I figured I'm at a new place. I want to test out the internet when it comes to the live and all that stuff. So here I am, and haven't been uploading in a while. As you see, I've been moving, but what a crazy time to come back because Jonathan Taylor has officially requested a trade. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on this whole situation. Feel free to comment things in the comments. I will respond to you. Let me know if I sound good as well. That would be pretty cool if you guys could do that. But yeah, I'm a little surprised that he requested a trade, even though I really shouldn't be, just based on how it seemed like he was acting during training camp. He didn't seem happy, so I shouldn't be really surprised that Taylor requested a trade, but he's not getting traded. Jim Irsay, he said already, no trade, not going to happen at all. And thank you, Sean. Thank you for joining the live stream. Glad my sound is coming in good. Hopefully, it continues to sound good, and hopefully, my video quality continues to be somewhat decent. And yes, Nathan, I expected him to not be traded either way, and Ursay kind of cemented that. I still think a deal is going to get done. I think we're going to see a deal get done within the next month or two. I know it seems like it's ugly right now, but I think we're going to get something finalized. I think Taylor's going to be happy. I think we're going to get a deal that makes the Colts happy. And look, James, I understand, not thinking that he has great character after this, but look, it's a business at the end of the day. And he's clearly not happy with how his position and himself is not, he's not happy based on the amount of money that is being given to running backs. And, like I said, it's a business. So I don't think he has bad character or anything like that. I don't want us to try to spin this whole thing because I just simply don't think it's true. I think he's a good dude. He's just doing what's best for him. But again, I think something's going to get finalized. And yes, I agree, Sean. His agent is the problem just based on how he's been acting on Twitter. And I mean, just look at how he's acted in the past. Not a great dude, in all honesty. It seems like he's not a great guy just based on some of the things that he has tweeted about and talked about. So, yeah, I just don't think he's a good dude. Yeah, I mean, I can totally understand that, I mean, I'm not thrilled about this as well. I'm not really happy with how this whole situation is going down. But look, I don't know. I think this is going to get resolved. I mean, you're going to have Richardson for the next 5 years on a, team friendly deal. You're not going to be paying Richardson 30, $40 million. They're going to have the money. They can afford to give Taylor as much money you know, as you need to give them. Do you find JT lost his reputation with Colts Nation? I think with some. I think there's some fans that are not happy with Taylor. I think there's some fans that are upset with Taylor, but I think there are a good amount of Colts fans that understand that it's a business and he's doing what he feels is best. I messaged my dad letting him know, hey, Jonathan Taylor requested a trade, and I'm kind of with him. This feels like a bargaining tactic. He's using this as a way to potentially get some more money and try to get as much money as possible. I think he realizes that the market is not that great for running backs. He's not going to get what he wants from most teams. I'm sure there's a team or two that probably could pay him what he wants. I think the Colts are one of those teams. So I think he's just trying to get as much as he can personally. I'm not upset at him. I'm sad that it's gotten to this point, but I understand it's a business. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the chat and I will get to them as soon as possible. Let me actually message somebody real quick. But Here, I'll see if I can get a guest on. Yes, the market is the market. And like, look, I get not wanting to pay running backs top tier money because it's a position that doesn't play as long as, say, a receiver or a quarterback or offensive lineman or other very important positions. But on the other hand, I understand some some running backs not being happy with the way the market is right now. But again, it's going to get finalized eventually. Let me send him a link real quick. Hold on, guys. And like I'm confident in some of the other guys we have. Like I like Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss can do some pretty good things for us. I'm very curious about Evan Hull too. Hull is I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his last name. I'm pretty excited to see what he can do. Obviously, you got Jackson. I think Jackson is somebody that's going to be able to contribute as well. So I don't think Taylor's going to sit, but if he does sit, if he does sit, I think we'll be okay. And then if JT sits out, does the salary count on the salary cap? Yes, it still would count. He would get fined, is all. And then, yeah, facts. He would get fined, but it's not going to save us any money to bring in guys. Where we're at right now with the cap is where we're going to be at unless we cut another player. So let me send that link out to him real quick. I might have to send it to him again on Twitter or X. There we go. So there we go. Should have a guest coming in just a moment or two. But yeah, like I said, Dion. I think Dion is going to do some good stuff for us when we use him. I think Zach Moss, whether JT plays or not, which I think he's going to play, I think Zach Moss is going to do his thing. And you're going to hear noise in the background. I probably should have alerted you guys ahead of time, but I do have some cats. Here's one right here. As I see freaked out. This is Ben Catflick. He is very just lovely, very nice guy. My other cat is Cat Damon. He's the one making the noise on the clothing rack. But yeah, he's a good dude. These are good cats. Let me set you down. Okay, so he should be on in just a minute. Let me just respond. But yeah, very exciting times, obviously, for the Indianapolis Colts with everything with just cats making messes, or not making messes, just running around making noises, messing with some posters I have back there. Yeah, it's just a crazy time for the Indianapolis Colts, and we are just in training camp. Yes, Cat Damon, which Cat Damon is right here, actually. Come here, Damon. This is Cat Damon. Right here. It's good, dude. This one's more relaxed whenever you hold him. He likes to lick. No, you're not going to lick. But yeah, I got two cats. And then, yes, cats. Yeah, they like to make a lot of noises. So whenever I start making more videos, which I'm going to do tomorrow, I just wanted to go live today. For however long I go live, you're going to hear them in the background. I just got to find some topics to talk about. But no, I'm excited nonetheless, even with all this Jonathan Taylor stuff going on. I mean, Anthony Richardson's looking real nice so far in training camp, and I get it. They're not playing at full speed. They're playing at 50% right now in training camp. They're just getting in the motions and whatnot. So, I mean, we'll really find out what he's made of when we get into the season. But still, I mean, that one just absolute bomb to Alec Pierce, just beautiful. Let me pull that up. Let's watch that highlight. Let's have some fun. Forgot I put the keyboard here, so it was out of the way. But yeah, that was beautiful. I think it's gonna be a fun season, though. Here it is. Again, I don't understand why it's called X, but whatever. Share screen. We're gonna. Oh, here we go. Let's rewind. You guys probably won't hear the sound, but whatever. Here it is. Look at this. Look at that bomb. I don't care how many times we've seen it. It's just beautiful. Look at that. That's just. Look, I've seen a lot of beautiful things. I haven't seen anything as beautiful as that. Look at this. Look, boom. Just perfectly placed. Just, I mean, it's enough to make a grown man cry. I love that. It's so good. I love it. Yeah, it's beautiful. I am very excited to see that happen during the season, because it's going to happen. He's going to do something like that, and it's going to be very exciting. And yeah, he will be doing a lot of running. He's probably going to have like 10 carries a game or something crazy like that. Just something crazy, but oh goodness. But yeah, I'm excited though, nonetheless. I'm gonna try to go to a training camp this year too. I'll let you guys know if I actually go to a training camp, but I always want to go, and then something comes up and I just can't go. But I think I may be able to squeeze it this year. I might be able to make it work, assuming when I'm able to make it work, there's still availability. But I will definitely be at some games this year. So if any of you see me running around and whatnot at Lucas Oil, just make sure you say hi. Let me pop that open. I'm going to try to go to the first game with Jacksonville. That should be fun. And we got a man. We got a man here. Here's a man who likes the Reds. We'll forgive him for that. How's it going, Derek?
Hey, say whatever you want, man. They just tied the game up against the Dodgers, so.
Yeah, there you go. I need you guys to lose. Cubs are like 4.5 games back for first.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, y'all are coming up. Y'all are coming up behind us. I know.
We're assuming the lead or the game stays the way it is. They're going to be on an 8-game win streak, which is pretty nice. Had a pretty nasty.
It's pretty nice. That'll do it.
During the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So just a pretty boring day so far today. Nothing exciting.
No, nothing exciting ever happens on a Colts off season ever.
No, it's boring. No trade request happened today. Sean says hello, but yeah, Jonathan Taylor put in a request, and apparently happened a couple of days ago. What are your thoughts in this whole situation? Because I thought it was sad, but I think that something's going to get done eventually.
Well, obviously, this is not the position that a lot of fans wanted to have to be in. It's clear that the agenda with JT and his group of people, clearly they are wanting JT to cash in. And clearly the Colts do not have any intention of cashing Jonathan Taylor in right now. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's a standstill. I'm definitely shocked by this news. I did not expect this type of thing to happen with Jonathan Taylor of all people, especially this early and this fast. I mean, we saw obviously before training camp started, clearly there was talks about Jonathan Taylor not happy that he's not gotten an extension yet. But I mean, none of us could have predicted that within 3 days of the Colts having training camp that all of a sudden now it went from Jonathan Taylor hopeful to get an extension at some point to now requesting a trade out of Indy. So, I mean, there's that's a lot. It's a lot for me to even really take in right now.
Mhm.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, I can't say I'm totally surprised at this happening.
Yeah, and I was saying earlier, because I messaged my dad and was like, hey, see Taylor requested a trade. And he goes, yeah, somebody told me earlier, I just think it's a bargaining tactic. And, you know, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I think this is just another way for him to try to get a little more money. But I think ultimately, month 2 at the most, we're going to get a deal done. I think before the season, you're going to get an extension. I mean, you paid Leonard, what, $18 million a year. You're giving Nelson $20 million a year. I think with Richardson on his deal, somewhere around $14 million is what I think Taylor's going to get. Could be a little more, could be a little less, but I think both sides are going to realize what's best for them is to get something done. Like I don't think they want this to drag on as long as possible. I think they want this wrapped up quick. I just don't know when it's going to happen. And it apparently they haven't offered him a contract too, which is kind of surprising. I thought eventually they would offer him a deal, or they would have by now.
I've heard the number floating around that is 13 million. And apparently there's a couple people that seem to think that actually the number that Jonathan Taylor wants is higher than that. So clearly wants to be one of the top 2 highest paid running backs in the NFL right now. The only guy getting paid more on an average annual salary right now than 14 would be Christian McCaffrey, who's getting 16. And we obviously saw what he did last year. And this is why I'm kind of like not in the situation where I'm saying, I get why JT's upset. I get why he's upset, because here he is, you know, trying to secure a future for himself. And not only have the Colts denied that to happen, they've denied even talking to him about it at all, which is definitely surprising. I can't say that I'm enthusiastic with the fact that the Colts haven't even attempted to talk with him about it at all. Because that's been the vibe from Jim Irsay. He said that literally we have not talked about giving him an extension at all this offseason, which, I mean, if you tell Ballard says that he's had talks with Jonathan, but it kind of makes you wonder, like, what are they talking about? If you're not talking about a contract extension, then is the entire conversation literally just saying, we're not paying you, just play this season and then we'll pay you next year? Like, is that the only thing that's going on in these meetings? Because then clearly they're not being conducted very well. And I totally get why Jonathan Taylor's really upset, but it also doesn't help that, you know, that Jonathan Taylor's agent is exacerbating the process of this and, you know, just making it all go full circle. All in all, this whole situation has just been completely mishandled by everyone involved. The Colts were being, I think the Colts were being ill-advised to not at least talk with Jonathan Taylor about numbers and what they're, even if they said, we're not giving you an extension, but here's the ballpark that we would consider if you did this and this sort of thing happened, or even attempted to maybe even give him a few extra million this year to finish out the contract. And then, of course, with Jonathan Taylor's agent taking to social media saying that he needs to request a trade, and Jonathan Taylor just not practicing and not looking enthusiastic to be out there. And of course, now requesting a trade in the midst of everything else going on with this football team. I mean, nobody's handling this situation with any kind of poise right now.
Right. And like I said earlier, apparently that request came in a little bit ago. I'm hoping that bus chat is somewhat at least calming things down a little bit. And maybe Irsay is like, listen, brother, we're going to get a deal done with you. Don't worry at all. We're going to get you a deal, but you're not being traded. It's maybe something like that. But I do agree. It definitely could be handled better on everybody's part. I do think the agent, who is a very questionable person, has said very questionable things in the past. Some may be racial and some may be a little naughty that I can't say on YouTube.
I don't even care about like all the other old tweets that are coming up.
Right.
I don't really care about any of that stuff. All I care about is how he's handling this situation with his client and basically trying to get his client a check that he can't cash. And that's the issue. And back to your point from before, when you were talking about how this seems like almost like a last ditch effort to try to force the hand of the Colts to get a desperate move to get this money. It literally looks exactly like what it is, because it's like, we're not getting anything that we want. So like, all right, throwing all our chips in, like you're either you trade me or we're out, and just forcing the Colts hand, even though clearly the Colts don't have any reason to trade him. And of course, Jonathan Taylor has no leverage whatsoever on anything. So, I mean, it's just another move to try to put some blame towards the Colts for this happening rather than himself.
Yeah. And it's like, I honestly think with the stuff with Josh Jacobs and with Barkley and all that stuff that was going on, right, a few weeks back, and everybody was tweeting how, oh, this is not right, they should be getting paid. I feel like Jonathan Taylor's agent went, you see what's going on? Yeah, you should force them to trade you, or you should force them to give you a big contract. Yeah, you see what's going on right now? You should use, because you're the best player on the team, you should use that to your advantage. I think the agent, like, because it's the same agent as Leonard, right? And nothing like this happened.
Same guy that got Leonard. I don't think Leonard doesn't have him as his agent, but he did. But he was a guy that, along with his company, did get him the deal. So, I mean, in all, and I mean, like that comes as a crazy thing. Like we've all been saying it. The dude's been extremely unprofessional. And it just looks bad, not only on him, but looks bad on JT. If they are going to try to trade to these other places, and these people see how JT and his agent do business, then it's kind of making it look bad to the very few teams who would even consider paying JT and trading for him at that point in time. And again, I keep saying it to everyone else, and some people are just like, they can't wrap their minds around it. There's very few teams in this league right now that is willing to pay a running back top tier money who just came off of an ankle surgery and is on the last year of their rookie deal. Because again, 90% of the NFL market agrees that running backs cannot get paid big amounts of money. It just isn't a thing. It's just not something that wins you football games in the long run of schemes. And then, to trade it, you have to trade away compensation for it, and you have to pay Jonathan Taylor. There's no negotiating room on that. And then, of course, like I said, I mean, who wants to take the risk on a guy who just missed half the season and had to get ankle surgery? It's not a good situation for Jonathan Taylor to be in. That's why he has no leverage, because every other team is thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of the trade request, I'll give Taylor this: if there's anything going on, he's kept it all behind the scenes. Yeah, you can see him on the sideline at training camp, not happy, and this report came out about him requesting a trade. Just a couple hours ago. But outside of that, I think Taylor is handling it the right way, where he's not running to Twitter and just running his mouth. He's keeping it all in-house, or he's trying to. But, of course, his agent wants to, just spread this like wildfire. But I think he's handled it right. And I know a lot of people are trashing on JT. Again, it's a business. Like, yeah, we could be upset because we're fans of this team. I don't think we would care if he was on a different team. None of us would be talking like this. But
Right.
I think he's handling it fine. I don't think he's, being bad about this whole situation. It could be worse. There's been players that have been public. Like Barkley was somewhat public too with his frustrations. But he's somewhat been professional in a way, and I'll give him that. But it's that agent. It just
Well, and I mean, again, we're all as fans, we're upset because like JT was a guy that said, I want to finish my career here. I want to be here. But I mean, just all of his actions and his agent's actions just make it sound like as if he could care less if he's here. It just looks that way to the average fan. And, it's like, I want JT to be here because I'm a huge fan and I love JT and I want him to help Anthony Richardson to have a good season. And Jim Irsay clearly feels the same way, which is why he told the media that, hey, like, there's no decision here. We're not trading Jonathan Taylor. We're not doing it now. We're not doing it in October. So quit asking. It's not happening. And, of course, the Colts are smart to do so because there's just no reason to trade him because you have all the leverage in anything, and you have every ability to tag him after the season and do all these different things. I mean, you can keep him literally in the building for the next 3 years without him willing to do anything. So, at some point the JT thing it's gonna pass. It's gonna get figured out. And especially because the Colts now know with the denying of the request, they can activate him. And if Jonathan Taylor misses games because he's just holding out, he's gonna have to pay a lot of money. So not only is he not getting paid, he's gonna lose money this year. Right. And so that's not a good thing. Jonathan Taylor will lose money this season, and at some point the Colts are gonna force his hand and he's gonna say, okay, let's make something small happen and let me show you that I got it, and then we can work on this next off season.
Right. And I don't think Taylor's going to sit. I think he'll play. He doesn't seem like the type of guy to sit. And most players that hold out, they end up playing. Like, I know Le'Veon Bell, he sat. But that doesn't happen very often. I think he's going to play because, like you said, he's going to want to prove that he does deserve to get that big contract.
Saquon did the same thing.
Yeah, and I think if Taylor wasn't hurt, I think a deal would have been done, or I think they would be negotiating.
Oh, 100%.
It would be close to one of, if not the highest contract that a running back.
100%. And you also have to acknowledge that this is a new scheme that they're going into this year. They're in a new scheme with a new quarterback. Everything is different this year. So, they don't want to spend their time trying to focus on the running back, which is, again, despite it being Jonathan Taylor, it's the least valuable position, one of the most least valuable positions out there in football. And you're trying to deal with Shane Steichen and also dealing with Anthony Richardson and trying to deal with these contracts as it is. And again, this is also on the Colts because, again, I'm not anti pay JT some money. I'm not anti anything. If anything, I would love it if they gave him a 3-year extension, because if you gave him the 3-year extension, that contract goes up by the time Anthony Richardson is about to get his next extension. So then you don't have to worry about Jonathan Taylor's contract hindering you. And Jonathan Taylor's good. You don't have to pay him premium money, but at the same time, again, from what we're hearing is that, Jonathan Taylor wants the biggest bang possible and won't settle for anything less right now. So that's a mistake on Jonathan Taylor's part for thinking that even though he didn't play last year, that he still deserves the second or first highest paid contract for a running back in the NFL. It's just not going to happen.
Well, and like I would be okay if he ended up getting McCaffrey type money because of Richardson being on his rookie deal. If Richardson wasn't on his rookie deal, let's say Richardson, let's say we drafted him a few years ago. We were in the same position a few years ago. We have Jonathan Taylor, got him at the same point we did, and Richardson ended up being this elite quarterback, and we had to pay him top tier quarterback money. At that point, no, I wouldn't pay Jonathan Taylor as much as he wanted because you have to get Richardson his money. However, with Richardson making $8.5 million a year, you can afford giving Taylor an extra $1 million or $2 million to make it work. And he's definitely the best offensive weapon we have on the team, or at least at the moment. He's the best offensive weapon.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, he's the best offensive weapon on this team, at least at the moment. And you're right. I mean, it's one of those things. And another interesting aspect of it is I know that they were talking about how with Anthony Richardson being the type of quarterback that he is and the offensive scheme that the Colts are about to go into with Shane Steichen, the thing is now you're going to have less emphasis on Jonathan Taylor being the guy now. The numbers are going to go down. And, even into a way that's kind of a good thing because it means if you're utilizing Jonathan Taylor less, then that also means he could potentially stay healthy longer, which is a good thing for this team in the long run if they want to keep Jonathan Taylor around. But, of course, that means with less stats comes less money, and that becomes an issue. And Jonathan Taylor probably knows that because his agent probably told him that. And I'm sure somebody else probably did too. So, again, there's a lot of aspects to this. And I'm not against Jonathan Taylor being upset about how this is being handled. And I really wish that the Colts would figure this out sooner rather than later and get this deal done before training camp and then just have Jonathan Taylor figure it out. I mean, I really do because it'd be so much better for this team to have Jonathan Taylor playing on Sundays rather than anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just the thought of having Taylor and Richardson in the backfield together, it's something that just it's salivating to the to the mouth senses. It's something that I want. I need it. I really do. And I think it's still going to happen. I don't like he's not getting traded. He's going to be here, like you said, for at least 2 years because the franchise tag. I think a deal is going to get done if he comes in and he looks like the Jonathan Taylor from 2 years ago. He's going to get his big money extension. And like I think if Richardson can get close to his potential with Taylor in the backfield and with Marvin Harrison Jr. catching balls and Alec Pierce and Michael
still
Pittman,
holding on to that one, huh?
I'm not as enthusiastic about the record that the Colts will have. I'm excited because I think we're going to have a lot of exciting plays. I think they win around 4 to 5 games still because I do think it's going to be an adjustment for Richardson. He's going to have to learn, but I do think he's going to learn. And once we get towards the end of the year, we're going to see Richardson show that promise and that potential that Chris Ballard and everybody in the front office saw. So I do think we're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. I think we're going to, land in that top 3 to 5 rank. I feel, and look, let's say Ryman isn't the greatest left tackle, and maybe we can move him to another spot. Maybe we get Joe Alt to be on that offensive line. It'd be pretty fun. But But yeah, I'm excited for what the team is, even with all this Taylor stuff. I think if for some reason he does sit out, you still got Zach Moss, who I think is going to be pretty good for the team. I'm very excited to see what Evan Hull does. Hull, is that how you pronounce it? Like,
yeah, Evan Hull. Yeah, not
okay.
Hall, like Hall. It's Hull, Hull.
Hole in the wall.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I think I'm really curious to see what he can do. I'm confident Deion Jackson can do something for this team. I do think Pittman gets the extension first. That's kind of what I'm feeling now, because I don't think Pittman's gonna, request $20 million a year. I think he's gonna request something that's reasonable, because yeah, even though he had to deal with a different quarterback every year,
Well, and I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad if Pittman asks for like 22 a year. Like, that's fine. Like 4 years, 88 million. That's fine. That's not top tier wide receiver level pay, but it's like it's getting up there with some of the better guys. But like, Pittman has that ability. I mean, I'm not sweating paying him 21 million a year. I'm not going to sweat that. That's not a terrible contract, especially with how the wide receiver market's going. So I'm not entirely worried about that one, but he plays a more premier position. So it's kind of one of those situations. So we'll just have to see.
And, obviously Carson Wentz, not, great memories. There's some really good memories, some great moments, but there's also some pretty disastrous moments too. But, when he was launching those balls 50 yards down the field, Pittman's like climbing over 5 guys to catch the ball. And, Richardson's going to do that too. So, I think Pittman's going to he's going to have his best year yet. I think he's going to have over 1,000 yards receiving, even if Minshew starts 6-7 games. I think
Pittman will. Yeah,
I think Pittman's gonna have a nice year, and I think
don't be surprised if Pierce gets close to 1,000 either. Don't be surprised.
I think he's gonna take that next step. I think Pierce will. Pittman's gonna continue to progress, and you got Jelani Woods still. What's Jelani gonna do? Throw him in at quarterback from time to time. I want to see that. Have him at quarterback. Get Pinter in there as tight end. Heck, even get Ryman. Let's get crazy. Have Woods as quarterback. Woods as quarterback. Have Ryman as a tight end. Have Pinter as a tight end. Have Richardson as a receiver or running back. Let's get crazy.
If we're up by 21 and there's like 4 minutes left on the game clock, then yeah, I'm totally down to see how that mixture goes.
Like, do that, or heck, have it look like a normal play, and then have Ryman move, and then have Pinter move, and then have Zach Moss be right guard in that scenario, and then have like Pittman as a left tackle, and just go crazy for a play. Just go nuts. I think it could be fun. But it's been a while since we've been on stream, though. How's life treating you? I know Bring the Juice is, just dominating.
We're trying, man. We're trying. It started off slow. Content was not very fresh right off the bat, and we tried getting all that new content out right at the beginning of training camp, but the numbers just weren't backing it up. Not the way that we really would have liked, but we understand that this year is kind of a down year for interest in the Colts this year, so it's going to be rough. But with some of the most recent news of Jonathan Taylor and with Anthony Richardson having a few big plays here and there, it gives you enough content to talk about starting out, But yeah, it's been good, just living life day by day, and just getting ready for. I'm getting more and more excited for football to be back.
Very nice. Is there any games in particular that you're wanting to go to this year?
Well, I know I'm going to the Colts Saints game in October because my buddy, who is a who is a guy that lives in Germany. He's coming down because he is a Saints fan. So he's flying into the States to go to the game with me and some of my other friends from college. So we're going to that one. I hinted at the idea of wanting to go to the Cleveland game the week prior to that, but I highly doubt that's going to happen now. And I may go to the Colts-Bengals game in December, but that might be the only couple that I get to go to this year.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to try to go to at least a game this year. Obviously, if Richardson's going to play week 1, I do want to go see that game. But yeah, there's a couple games that I'm looking at trying to go to at least one of them. Then, of course, I'm going to, not Colts related, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting tickets to the Notre Dame Ohio State game.
Sweet.
Which should be.
Can't wait for that one.
I think it's going to be a fun game.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a very exciting game.
Like, I don't know what your quarterback situation is. Like, I don't know, like I just kind of from what you've seen.
It's between Kyle McCord and Devin Brown at this point. Do they want to go with the guy that played with Marvin Harrison Jr. in high school, or do they want to go with the young freshman who's got some promise? It's all up to Ryan Day at this point. Not 100% on either one, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's nice that at least they have the team that they have, and whatever quarterback situation they have, I'm sure that they'll figure it out.
Right. And then is there a quarterback in particular that you would rather have, just based on seeing spring training or the spring game? And
I have no idea, bro. I mean, listen, I've never been a fan of Kyle McCord. I know he was insanely highly recruited when he came out of high school. I mean, there were some people that had him as 5 stars, some people that had him as 4-star. He was one of the top 5 quarterbacks coming out of, I think it was the 2020 draft class or recruiting class, whatever it was. And Ryan Day fell in love with him. Obviously, he played with Marvin Harrison. And, that was a huge thing. It kind of helps a little bit because you obviously have the chemistry with him already. But, of course, he's been stuck behind Justin Fields, stuck behind CJ Stroud. Is it his time to, finally step into the reins? Because, I think it's unfair of me to judge McCord because he comes in late in the end of games where, Ryan Day's not trying to throw the football. So, the throws that he does throw are just lollipop BS that nobody cares about. Yeah. And then, Devin Brown, I don't know much about Devin Brown. I haven't seen much of him play. I haven't seen much of him throwing. I'm just waiting more for when Aaron Noland comes to Ohio State in 2024. That's when that's going to get more interesting because that's the kid that everyone is thinking that he's going to end up winning the job when he gets here.
Right. Yeah, it should be but because that's 24 with him. It's going to be interesting. Him and CJ Carr go at it once we get to the playoffs. Because I think that would be the next time Notre Dame Ohio State will play. Would be a playoff appearance if it comes to that. But it's like college football. It's wide open this year because Georgia, new quarterback, Alabama, Nick Saban, before they went after Tyler Buchner, said that they weren't going to go after a quarterback or anybody unless they felt like it was a need that they had to address. And apparently their spring game, their quarterbacks weren't great, so they went after Buchner, who is a great practice player, but decent game player. But, I could have told you Alabama's offense wasn't going to be great when they have Tommy Rees there. But Ohio State, don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be. Probably be McCord, but still don't know how that's going to go. Notre Dame now has Sam Hartman.
At least USC. The good news is if you're Ohio State, at least for your Ohio State, at least you have by far and away the best wide receiver group in all of college football. You have one of the best running back rooms in all of college football.
Yeah.
And defense this year, it's the second year with Jim Knowles. And everyone knows that whatever program Jim Knowles has gone to, his second and third year is always way better than his first.
Yeah.
And with the kind of experience that the Ohio State defense has, with every single one of their defensive linemen being either a junior or a senior this year, and like the defensive backs being older and the linebackers all being veterans. I mean, this is the most experienced defense that Ohio State has had in like multiple years. And so I think that this team definitely is a lot better than some people give it credit. I think the only thing is everyone is continuing to ask about the quarterback situation. But if you can look past that, Ohio State has a really well-built team.
Yeah. And I will say this too, for the, Ohio State Notre Dame game, whoever loses that game, I think they're going to win out from that point on.
Yeah.
It'd be tough for Notre Dame because you still got Clemson, you still got USC. Ohio State still has Michigan. Penn State, I think, is going to be better this year. I think they're going to be much better. They actually have a good quarterback this time. But
I don't know who it is, but I think I
don't
remember.
know. I can't remember who it was, but I think
anything is better than Sean Clifford, bro.
Yeah.
Anything is better than Sean Clifford.
I mean, he's been there since 1968, so eventually they had to get somebody. But no, I think there's a lot of battles in that Notre Dame Ohio State game that are going to be a lot of fun. I think Marvin Harrison versus Benjamin Morrison is going to be one of the best cornerback receiver matchups of the year. Because
just don't let Mike Hall go throwing himself in at your quarterback like he did last year. That's all I'm saying.
That won't. Like offensive line is going to be so much better this year. And I wasn't too big on the Joe Rudolph signing or hire initially for offensive line, but everything I've heard, it's exactly like Harry Hiestand, just how he runs his practices with the offensive line guys. Doesn't cuss but
I think that's the biggest question mark for Ohio State this year is the offensive line because they lost 3 starters. So, you lose 3 guys, and not only 3 guys, but like 3 of the best offensive linemen that your program's had in a while. Yeah. That's rough to replace. So they usually do. I usually don't have a problem with Ohio State's offensive line. They usually find a way to replace them. So, it is what it is. And, it's hilarious because the defensive line for Ohio State is going to be so good this year. And they got that number 1 defensive tackle in the entire recruiting class for next year as well. Larry Johnson always kills it. Yeah, for now, but I'm pretty positive it's there. But Larry Johnson always finds a way. His resume speaks for itself. So
I'll just say this real quick because obviously Justin Scott's who you're talking about, who I agree is the best defensive tackle in the league. In January, he was ready to commit to Notre Dame when Marcus Freeman got talking to him. The only reason why he didn't commit then was because he did say, yeah, I might want to take some visits. And Notre Dame's like, hey, because we went through that last year with Keon Keeley. It's like, take your visits, do that. We got a long way till December. We're going to recruit you no matter what. We're still going to go at you. But yeah, I would say just, don't.
If you're a defensive lineman and you want to be prepared for when the NFL comes knocking at your door, there is not a better person in college football to be taught by than Larry Johnson. Yeah, that is what it is.
I agree with that. Larry Johnson's definitely elite. Al Washington's got to step up with his recruiting, but his coaching apparently this year, just the guys on that defensive line, it took him a year because like him and Al Golden, their coaching style is more complex, I guess. They got that locked down. They're good. I'm excited to see, defensive line versus offensive line for both sides when it goes to that game. The cornerback receiver battles are going to be a lot of fun, I think. Because not only do you have Marvin Harrison versus Morrison, you also have Cam Hart versus Emeka.
Emeka Egbuka. Yep.
Yeah, those two.
Who's potentially a top 10 wide receiver in next year's NFL draft too. Yeah. So, it's hilarious. That's how deep we are. Our third wide receiver is basically a freshman this year who was the number 2 wide receiver he's not even number 3. Jaden Ballard's our number 3, who is a 4-star coming out of high school. And Julian Fleming's our number 4, who was the best wide receiver in the entire 2020 recruiting class. He's our number 4. And then Carnell Tate, who was the number 2 wide receiver in the 2023 recruiting class, who's a freshman, he's our number 5. And next year, it said Colts in the title. Mikey Mendez, what's up, dude?
Minutes, Mikey. We've been on for.
We were talking about JT for a solid 35 minutes. Okay.
I was going to get to your comment later. I don't know if I'm going to now about your trade. No, I will. We'll get to this and then we'll go back to the thing because look, it's been 51 minutes now. Trade JT to the Saints for Marshawn Lattimore and sign Kareem Hunt. I do not want to sign Kareem Hunt. I don't want to sign anybody like Kareem Hunt. He's not a good person. I understand you can be forgiven for things and you can change as a person. I do not want Kareem Hunt.
And in what way would the Saints ever trade one of the best corners in football for a running back?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Why would you ever do that? That would never be considered. They'd hang up the phone before you even got a chance to explain.
Yeah, and I would love to have Lattimore on this team. Absolutely. Like we need
100% with how young our secondary is, we absolutely need that.
And look, I love JT, and if I want him back, I want a deal done, and I think a deal is going to get done. But I like our group for sure. I like our running back group, and I think we need help in the secondary. I think eventually our guys are going to get to where they need to be. We're very young. But I would absolutely take Lattimore, but it's not going to happen. JT and Alvin Kamara would be nasty. I don't want that to happen. But let's get back to what everybody came here for, which was the Notre Dame Ohio State thing. But no, you guys definitely have the best receiver group in the country, and I don't think it's close.
It's not close. I mean, there's no one else. I mean, I don't even know how many other wide receivers are projected to go top 10, but Ohio State has 2 of them that are projected to do that. So, I mean, it's not close. It's not close. And then in 2024, we have the number 1 and the number 2 wide receiver in the entire nation, both coming to Ohio State. And then the year after that, Ohio State then has Chris Henry Jr. coming to Ohio State. He's a 5-star wide receiver. Yeah. So, I mean, the talent doesn't stop at the wide receiver position. Ohio State, for every single year, as long as Hartline is there, will have the best wide receiver corps in all of college football year in and year out.
Yeah. And this is what I'll say, too. Let's say Ohio State, let's say next year or 2, just isn't doing as good as what they normally do, which means they go like 9-3. And Ryan Day ends up being fired. You better hire that guy in a heartbeat. You better hire him. Your offensive coordinator, Brian Hart.
Yeah, Brian Hartline. Yeah,
you better hire him in a heartbeat because I think he's going to be a head coach in maybe 3 years.
Yeah, I'm amazed that he hasn't accepted a deal yet. Because he's a massive recruiter. He's a massive recruiter. If anything else, he's a massive recruiter. He gets talent in the building, and he, regardless of how good he is at calling plays or running a football team, doesn't matter. He brings talent in. You bring in other guys to fix that, and he would bring one if he went to a program like a Cincinnati, where he was getting paid $10 or $11 million a year to coach that team. he'd bring at least one 4 or 5-star high level wide receiver with him every year. And that would just blow the brakes off of people.
Yeah. And I wonder, and I still wonder, because you guys you guys promoted him pretty fast after the year. I wonder if he still was your receiver coach when Tommy Rees went to Alabama. Part of me wonders if he'd be at Notre Dame, because I don't remember if there's a connection with him and Freeman, whether they played together or coached together somewhere. But I still wonder if he would be at Notre Dame, because he would prefer to be an offensive coordinator, I'm sure, over a receiver coach. But I think it was smart, you guys say, because even if Notre Dame didn't, if another really good team needed an offensive coordinator, he might.
I mean, Ryan Day told him, like, hey, I'll obviously game plan. I'll obviously throw my input in there and, help design the offense. But, I think it's smart if we approach this thing differently. Because Ryan Day, has that fault of sometimes getting too cautious. And he kind of does the Frank Reich thing where he's in his bag and then just forgets he's in his bag and then just forgets the game plan, which is something he shouldn't do. If you're Hartline, who's aggressive all the time, then that's the better way to do it. And then, of course, we saw when you give Ryan Day the chance to actually sit down and game plan and figure out how to attack a defense, oh my God, the offense looks amazing. I mean, you saw what they did to Georgia. I mean, they made that Georgia defense look like it was nothing. And I mean, that was the best defense in the country that year. And they could do everything that they wanted against Georgia. And that's what you do if you let Ryan Day have time to design a game plan. But obviously, the Hartline needs to be commonplace.
Yeah. But I think, though, September 21st, it's going to be a game. I still think Notre Dame wins. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Notre Dame's defensive line, I think that is going to be the real test to see if Ohio State's offensive line is going to be as good as it was last year's when they played Notre Dame's defensive line.
Right.
Because you got
both teams kind of struggled with both teams couldn't run the ball effectively. Ohio State did at the end of the game, but even in the first 3 quarters, they couldn't run the football, and obviously you guys couldn't run the football game either. And then it just became who had the better athletes making plays at the end, and that's pretty much kind of what happened. So, it was a great game last year, which, I mean, truly helped you guys more than it did us, just simply because of the fact that, we obviously were a top, we should have been a top 4 team last year, which we obviously were. And then, when you take into account Notre Dame at the end of the year, even though they lost it was still within a score. And, it didn't end up really killing you guys by the end of the year. So,
right. And I think part of the reason why Notre Dame couldn't run the ball was because Harry Hiestand was still getting the previous coach's coaching style out of those offensive linemen, because I don't even want to say
that can happen.
Not Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, he's doing his thing, but our former offensive line coach, and I'm even going to say his name, terrible at his job, absolutely terrible. And Harry Hiestand was getting that out, and then he finally did, and that's where Notre Dame's offensive line stepped up, played better. And then, of course, they had 2 running backs that nearly had 1,000 yards each running the ball. But I'm telling you, man, you gotta Estime. He is just a moving truck. He is big and he's fast. But not only do you have him, you got Jadarian Price, who is electric, and like Jonathan Taylor, Colts. There you go. Just he can make one move and he's gone. And then you got Jabron Payne, who, when healthy, is dynamic as well. Then you got Jeremiah Love, who can fly, is super fast. I think it's gonna be a really, really good battle nonetheless. But I'm gonna get some more of these comments real
Mikey,
quick.
no, I
Um,
didn't. I didn't get a chance to hit the sled. I don't think anyone wants to see me do that, even though I
I
definitely
do.
have. I could hit the sled.
I want to see.
I wish the Colts would just give me some pads so that I can put some on Cody and then I can just board drill him really quickly
There you
because I
go.
want to put him on his butt and I want people to watch it and see it happen live. But anyway, but no, I won't be at practice Monday. I'll be at practice next Sunday.
Yeah. I want to go. I don't think I'm going to be able to go this year, but I might be able to make it work. I'll find out at a later point. But I always say I want to go and I never go. But I would like to go this year for sure. If not this year, I'm going next year for sure. And yes, we were talking Notre Dame, Ohio State. You know, and JDW can run your mouth. And yes, y'all wait. My Razorbacks are coming to an 8-4 record at best.
To a 7-5 record.
7-5 actually sounds more realistic. I could see 6-6.
Just another dumpster fire team in the SEC.
But hey, you guys got the Cheez-It Bowl you can play in. You can play in that Cheez-It Bowl coming up this year.
Step aside while, you know, these real teams, you know, deal with national championships and Rose Bowls and Orange Bowls and Cotton Bowls and stuff like that. Deal with the real bowl games around here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, I agree. I will agree with you, JDW. Penn State is going to be good this year. I think I haven't been big on Penn State just because I think Franklin is a really good recruiter, and he's having a really good 24 recruiting class too. Game day, though, not great. He's not a great game day coach. Breaking news, the Chicago Cubs have won their 8th straight game, which is
well, it helps that they're playing the St. Louis Cardinals, who are a dumpster fire.
That's true. So thank you to the Cardinals. Thank you. And I hate the Cardinals. I don't care. They could be a one-win team.
I should probably get going. I need to get some rest.
Okay. Say I'll be on just for a little bit longer. JDW, message me if you want on. I'll send you a link too. But thank you for hopping on, Derek. Always a pleasure to have you on the channel. And
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and September 21st should be a great game.
I'll be watching. I'll be texting you as well.
I have no idea what both teams are going to look like at that point too, because I mean Notre Dame at least plays NC State. So I mean that's kind of because NC State's not a bad team. They're pretty solid.
NC State's not a bad team. You're right about that.
We play Navy, Tennessee State, and Central Michigan. It's just not a great way to see, but at least we get NC State to kind of get a test.
There you go.
I don't remember who Ohio State plays. I think they play one game like Notre Dame where
we play Indiana to start the year. And then I think it's Youngstown State and then maybe it's Rutgers. I'm not 100% sure. So, you know, first 3 games should be walk in the parks.
Yeah. And it's like Notre Dame plays that week 0. So it's like they should be 3-0 by that point. But they'll be 4-0
absolutely.
Instead.
So I'll see you.
All right. See you later. And then, like we were talking about the Colts, and then we went back and talked to Notre Dame and stuff. I had to do that with Derek. But yeah, JDW, send me a message if you want to be on, and I'll send you a link. I'll be on for a little bit longer. And then hit the sled. I would love to see him hit the sled. I think that would be a lovely thing to see. And yes, I want to see him do it without the pads too. Yeah, say I would like to go there too. That would be a lot of fun. It is a chocolate candy. That is what a Buckeye is. And Notre Dame will be eating lots of those on the 21st. And it's like, I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be like by the time they play Notre Dame. I assume McCord's going to start, but I don't know how good he's going to be. He could be good. He could be great. Could be terrible. We'll see. And then you live all the way in Mass and always have to go to the away games and hear all the trash talk, even when you live in Florida. Yeah, I haven't been to an away game, but I know, I know there's some teams where it's a good and good environment for you know the away team fans to go to. But like if you go to Tennessee, they're terrible. Jacksonville's not great with away team fans as well. And there's a few others. There's a few like in college that are pretty good, like Utah. They're a good team to go see a game if you're the away team fan. That's a good one. Stanford, the same way. But to be fair, Stanford doesn't care about football. Um, they don't care about football at all. And then baseball. Cubbies are doing their thing. Rest. Yep, rest. And then you're finishing up your JT and then heading to bed. Okay, it's all good. I'm going to be going live more often, so I'll have to hit you up for a live, and another you would be on. And then it has been a while, and this is just wonderful news to come back to. But I moved, so I've been pretty busy with moving, and I should be getting a big old bookshelf, so you'll get to see some more stuff in the background pretty soon. But for now, it's just a simple white wall and my Star Wars arcade and a couple poster frames. But yeah, and then the vomit. The peanut butter thug. Yeah. And then you're going to the Baltimore game. I haven't been to Baltimore, but I'm just going to guess based on history, Ravens fans aren't going to be the nicest to Colts fans. They're not going to be the worst, I would assume. Like, they're not going to want to fight you, but Baltimore hates the Colts because of them leaving. So I would be careful about that. It's a nut, but there's also the Buckeye chocolate candy things. And then you miss my lives. Yeah, it's been it's been a little bit. I think it's been like 2, maybe 3 weeks since I've done a video, but it's been like a year since I've actually gone live on the channel. But I'm absolutely going to continue going live more often because I have better internet. Now I can upload videos in like 2 seconds with fiber internet. It's really nice. And then good show. Thank you very much. And then you were in for a few minutes with my cats. They're sleeping on the bed right now. So I was going to pick them up, but they are resting, and I'm going to let them rest. But went to the Eagles game, covered in Colts gear and got beer covered. Does not surprise me. Eagles fans are garbage. Philly fans in general are the worst. There's some good guys like Arby is a good dude, and there's a couple other guys too that are good people, but there's a lot of Philly fans that are just terrible. They threw snowballs at Santa, so that's not good. And when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, there was a drunk fan that decided to eat horse manure, which is something that a normal person does. And then you were only 13. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's Philly. Philly's not a great fan base, and I know they wouldn't like hearing that, but it's true. They're not a great fan base. I do not like most Eagles fans or 76ers fans or name any Philly team fan. I don't like them. But yeah. I did talk about JT for a bit, and then when Derek got on, we talked about him for a bit, but then we jumped in and I had to talk about the Notre Dame Ohio State game because we're fans of both teams, or he's a fan of Ohio State, I'm a fan of Notre Dame, so I had to bring it up to him. But yeah, that I did talk about for a bit. I like on the lives to talk about random things too. So there might be a time where I want to talk about a movie or whatever for a little bit, but I'll mostly talk about the Colts. Good to see you back. Lots to talk about this training camp. Lots of position battles. There's definitely a lot for sure. I'm very curious about kind of who's going to take that number 2 running back spot. Is it going to be Zach Moss, Evan Hull? Is it going to be Deion Jackson? That's something I'm very curious about. Some of the offensive line battles are going to be fun too. Obviously, Nelson's got his position locked up. Ryman's going to be the starter at left tackle. I would assume Ryan Kelly is going to start at center. I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't want to see Danny Pinter. Well, actually, yeah, I would be okay with Danny Pinter, but I would prefer Kelly, even though he didn't have a great year last year. I'm hoping Tony Soprano. Yeah, I'm hoping he can get them back to where they were. But the right guard battle is something I'm curious about. Will Fries and Danny Pinter and some of the other guys too. I'm very curious about that. The cornerback battles are going to be fun. Who's going to be your CB1, CB2, CB3 should be fun. And then when he got covered in beer, he was yelling something positive about the Colts, or he was screaming when the Colts did something good. Yeah, again, it doesn't surprise me. But I will say, like every fan base does have fans like that. Some have a lot more than others. I did see at the Jacksonville game last year, I did see a Colts fan throw a beer on a girl wearing Jags uniform, and that's never cool. So please, and the Colts won too, which was the weird thing. Like, it's like, come on, guys, we won. We should be happy. Don't throw beer on people. That's not nice. Yeah, you should be able to cheer though, regardless of where you're at. You should be able to cheer for your team. But it's Philly, it is Philly. You liked 3 college football teams at one time, now 2, but it's the Razorbacks. I wonder what your other team is, or what your 2 teams were before it became 2 instead of 3. And then did I ever tell you that my football coach in high school played with Marvin Harrison at Syracuse? That is pretty cool. You didn't tell me that, but that is pretty awesome. That would be pretty cool. And then you were surprised that Evan Hull was taking first team reps. I think we're going to see all of them take, at least Moss, Hull, and Jackson. I think we're going to see all 3 of them take first team reps. I think Evan Hull is going to actually get a good amount of playing time. I think he's probably going to share about the same amount of snaps as Moss is going to. Because, like I said, I still think JT is going to play. I think he's not going to hold out. Even if a contract isn't done before the season starts, he's going to play week 1. I would be really surprised if he didn't. He might sit out a preseason game or 2, but he will be back for the start of the regular season. Danny Pinter, good gosh, please. No, I don't want Danny Pinter, but I think he's going to battle there. I can't remember who else was the right guard. Let me look that up actually real quick. Let me make sure, but I can't remember everybody. But I'm also curious to see kind of the defensive line battles too. Is Double A going to get his shot? That'd be something I'd be curious to. How much is he going to play? I think he's going to be pretty cool, or I think he's going to be pretty good for this team. I'm kind of curious to see what Marcel Dabo does actually, and JoJo Doman is another one too. But who's going to be wide receiver 3? That's going to be something I want to see too. Emil Ekiyor. That's who I was thinking of. You got him. You got Will Fries, and then Danny Pinter's been taking some reps at right guard too. So I'm kind of curious about that battle. Yeah, I really hope we don't see that. You thought you saw Matt Pryor in someone's video. Didn't we cut the guy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we cut Matt Pryor. I think, did we cut him? Let me look. I'm pretty sure. I thought the Eagles signed him. No, he's with the 49ers. Matt Pryor's yeah, they signed Matt Pryor to a 1-year deal. So, yeah, Matt Pryor was released, and now he's with the 49ers. I don't know why he would have been in somebody's video if it was about the Colts. And then your high school football coach gave Marvin Harrison rides when they played. Had to be amazing. Yeah, that would have been awesome. And, yeah, I agree, Sean. I think Penner is a pretty decent backup center. And, he's the type of guy that you can throw in at center when you need him to, and he'll be pretty decent. I mean, with us having Richardson out there, if we did go with Penter at center sometime later this year, I don't think it would be the worst. I think we'd be okay. And then don't be like Patrick Mahomes' relatives and you will be good. Yeah. Yeah, don't be like Jackson Mahomes. Please don't be like him in Syracuse. Okay, that's why. Syracuse. And then you like Hole. He's gonna Hole Ash. Yeah, that's funny. Matt Pryor, Wesley French, or Will Fries. Oh yeah, you got Wesley French out there too. I'd be kind of curious to see what he can do. Would you re-sign Michael Pittman Jr. even if we actually get to land Marvin Harrison? I would. That'd be a solid 4 receivers for Richardson next 5 years. Yeah, I would still re-sign him. I think Michael Pittman proved with Carson Wentz that he can be a deep threat option. He can be a reliable receiver. I think with Richardson and with Minshew, if Minshew starts the first couple games, I think Michael Pittman's going to be really solid. And I do agree. If you can get Marvin Harrison Jr., which I think the Colts are going to be in a position where they could get him, I think having Pittman, Pierce, Downs, and Marvin Harrison Jr., it would be fantastic for Anthony Richardson, because you're going to have you have 2 guys that can just be your deep down the field type of receivers. You got Marvin Harrison that can do just about everything for you. Michael Pittman can do just about everything too. And I know a lot of people are kind of trashing on Pittman, but you got to remember Pittman has played with a different starting quarterback every single year. So that's something we got to keep in mind as well. Let me see. No, I was just saying the right guards that we're going to have this year battling for that spot. And then, yeah, the 49ers. I don't understand why, but whatever. Lawrence had a video up, and I was like, what is he doing there? It had to be someone else. I don't think Lawrence would purposely have Matt Pryor in there. And if Matt Pryor was in Lawrence's video, I'm sure it was by accident. But he was a good backup at center, horrible at guard. I absolutely agree. I also like Ekiyor. I think there's a chance he could start too. But watch out for Will Fries. I think Will Fries could too, and then French fries. That was pretty awesome. And then jury is out on Pittman for you. I can understand kind of, because last year Pittman did have some drop balls too, and I did just get the notification, JDW, that you uploaded your video about Jonathan Taylor. But again, I understand just based last year, it wasn't a great year in general for the team. But we got to remember, Pittman has played with a different starting quarterback every single year. He had Phillip Rivers his rookie year, then he had Carson Wentz, then he had Phillip Rivers and Sam Ehlinger and Nick Foles, and then now he's got Richardson and Minshew. If Minshew starts at the beginning of the year, he's going to have a Minshew, and then later on he'll have Richardson too. It's kind of hard to form that chemistry with your quarterback like a lot of number 1 receivers need to do with their starting quarterback when it keeps changing every single year. So, again, I understand, but I think Pittman's going to show that he's still a very dominant player. And I think Minshew is going to be pretty decent if he starts too. I'm not worried about him. I think he'll be pretty solid, but he might be cut. He can't pull for jack squat. Maybe I think he makes the roster, but if he doesn't make the roster, it's not the end of the world. You didn't draft him. You signed him. He was an undrafted guy, but I still think there's a chance he competes for that starting spot. And I think he could get it. And yes, sir. All right, I'm going to hop off, guys. It is about to be midnight. I'm going to eat because I have not eaten yet. I'm going to make some eggs for those that are very curious. I'm sure you guys are wondering, what is Matt eating for dinner? It is eggs, but more specifically, frog in a log or toad in a hole. If you don't know what that is, I highly suggest making it. You get a piece of bread, you put butter on both sides like you're going to make grilled cheese. You get that hole in the middle. You probably should put a hole in the middle of the bread before you do that. You put the egg in once you have the bread on the pan. You crack that egg, put it in, make sure it goes in the hole, and then you flip it when it's ready to be flipped, usually about a minute, and then boom, you get some delicious food. It's just eggs. It's an egg, it's bread, it's delicious. In fact, I'm going to show you because JDW is kind of confused and potentially horrified, but frog in a log is what I called it. This is the exciting things that people are just wondering about me. So we're going to pull that up. So, and thank you all for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. I know I didn't bring up everybody's comment, but here's what it is. This is right here. It's toad in a hole, but I call it frog in a log. I don't have mine burnt. But that's kind of what it is. No, I don't want to know the recipe of the day. Get out of here. No, get out of here. But that's what it is. That is a frog. Oh, I didn't eat. No, that's silly of me. That was a very silly thing I did. Here it is. That's what it is. That's what I wanted you guys to see. It's good. It's very good. It's very easy. It's simple. It takes like 2 minutes to make. It is quite good. So, but yeah, I'm going to hop off. I will answer this real quick. I think with as bad as all three quarterbacks played, Michael Pittman Jr. had good stats. Even though we were horrible, Matt Ryan couldn't throw far. That is true. I could throw farther than him. Foles was horrible. That is true, but I will give him credit. He took deep shots. And then Ellinger was a huge old pile of shit. I was at that Pats game. Yeah, that's not a fun game to go to. It's not fun. Not fun at all. But yeah, it's frog in a log or toad in a hole. There's another name for it. But that's what I had it. They're fantastic. And then he will play another snap. JT's not going to hold out. He's under contract. He's not going to get traded. He'll be here for at least 2 years if he doesn't sign because the franchise tag is a lovely thing to have. But he will play. He's not going to. He might hold out for preseason, but that's about it. All right, but I'm going to hop out. It is 11:59. It's about to be midnight. Thank you all for joining. I will be going live more often. I might do some late streams when I get off work because I may not have a lot of video ideas. So I at least want to go live and chit chat with you guys. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see you next time. We're going to play the outro really quick. If I can find it. There we go. All right. I will see y'all later. Have a good one. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you watch one of these other 2 videos. They're cool. Also, if you're new, please click the subscribe button as well as the bell icon. I greatly appreciate your support. I clicked leave studio, not in broadcast. So that was exciting. Yeah, we're going to do it. Okay. See you guys. You'll have a good one.